Welcome to the order of Monday morning. Yes, I'm back from the desert and almost recovered. I know I did a show yesterday, but I was pretty out there still. I hardly remember doing it. Today I've got a good night's sleep under my belt and I'm ready to roll. There's Monday Night Magic class even happening tonight. So things are getting back to normal, almost normal. Anyway, today I'm going to go back in time to a simpler time. I don't know how much simpler it was, but I did a series of classes for Robert Anton Wilson's Maybe Logic Academy, and it was sort of an early example of online learning, and I set up. I think I did one on Enochian and one on tarot and one on magic. And each of them, I believe there were 8 weeks. And I just ran across a printout of all of them from a student that printed them out as they went along, and she made me a copy of it. And it was a lot of fun. And the first one was based on a 3-day class that I did at the Omega Institute in Rhinebeck, New York, a number of years before the Maybe Logic Academy classes. And it was nice to look back at it. And I was talking this past week in the desert, the Joshua Tree lectures or workshops about the importance of, I guess, the importance of the material world, in so much as we have a tendency in the spiritual community over the several last millennia to denigrate the material plane. One of the curious tenets of classic Gnosticism was they despise the material world and all things material, taken to the extreme. They didn't bathe because that seemed like a vain expression of the material world, and that the material world was evil. And so the earth plane has people of a spiritual bent at first would like to turn up there. Oh, that's so material. I'm above that. Okay, but it is vitally important. One of the primary Kabbalistic axioms is that Malkuth, that's the earth, number 10 on the tree of life, is in Kether, which is number 1, the singularity itself, Godhead itself. Kether, or Malkuth, is in Kether, as Kether is in Malkuth, only after a different manner. And we've got the Emerald Tablet of Hermes that starts right off. The first line is summed up in that which is above, is like unto that which is below. And if there's ever a stepchild in this whole situation, it's the middle management between the highest high and the lowest low. In the tarot, we have the 4 tarot suits, and the highest one is the wands, and the lowest one is the discs, and they're represented by, or can be illustrated by 4 trees of life. I apologize, it's printed on the other side here, so it sort of bleeds through. So it'd be like 4 trees of life. And this would be like the number 1 would be the Ace of Wands, and the rest would be the small cards of the suit of Wands. And they represent that highest Kabbalistic world, Atzilith, or the archetypal world, the Yod of Yod He Vav He. And then there's the cups. There's have a tree of life. The ace is number 1. Now, if Kether is in Malkuth and Malkuth is in Kether, that number 1 there and that number 10 there are really connected, like a snake with its tail in its mouth. And that's the cups would be Bria, or Bria, or Bria, the world of soft cheeses. The creative world, the world of archangels, if you will, and Yetzirah, the formative world, associated with the Vav of the tree of Yod He Vav He. And this would be the mental world and the world of swords. And, of course, the Saya, the material world of the He, of He final. Now, that ace and that 10 are connected in a way. In the tarot, the princesses, which represent that final He in Yod He Vav He, is called the throne of the aces, the throne of her ace. Like Ace wouldn't have any place to sit his ace if it wasn't for the princess, okay? So I ran across what I wrote many years. This is a good 23 years ago, or 24 years ago, and it was excerpted from my Maybe Logic Academy course, and I had just finished up my Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot too. So the first thing we must keep in mind when discussing all the cards of the Thoth Tarot is that their images are modeled to a lesser or greater degree upon the Golden Dawn deck. In fact, I don't think it too much of an exaggeration to say that the Thoth Tarot is a hybrid of the Golden Dawn Tarot. This is especially evident in the court cards and small cards. The original Golden Dawn deck was never printed or published. It was, in all likelihood, designed by S.L. Mathers and painted by his wife, Moina, or Moina. It was loaned to members of the Golden Dawn who were obliged to make their own copies, no matter how funky. To my knowledge, the original deck has been lost in the mists of time. But there are several fine modern versions of the Golden Dawn deck currently available that appear to be faithful representations of surviving descriptions. If you don't already have one, I encourage you to get your hands on one and study it vis-a-vis the cards of the Thoth Tarot. And there's a brand new deck by Emmeline that is, what I consider the finest Thoth tarot-based deck that I've seen yet. But any of them, the Wangs, the Cicero's Golden Dawn deck's excellent deck. But the one by M.M. Moline that I was just given a copy a few days ago is awesome. Okay. But enough plugging. Okay. An important feature of my, speaking of plugging, an important feature of my book, Understanding Aleister Crowley's Thoth Tarot, is the inclusion of a description of the Golden Dawn model at the very beginning of my comments on the individual cards. So I'm going to encourage you to acquaint yourselves with the material rather than dwelling on it here. Now, I would like us to do something else. Remember, this is a maybe Logic Academy class. So I hope you're reasonably comfortable with the method of the madness of how small cards get their elemental, zodiacal, and planetary qualities, and how their divinatory characters are the result of these factors. Okay, starting with the Five of Wands. Okay. In other words, 0 degrees Leo, the Coeur de Lion, which was the Chaldean start of the year. Okay. The small cards, 36 small cards, were assigned a planet. Okay. And starting with 0 degrees Leo, the order of the planets that are assigned for every card, every small card, and every decan of the zodiac goes in Saturn, Jupiter, Mars, Sol, Venus, Mercury, Luna order. And then it repeats as it goes counterclockwise all the way through the zodiac. Now, the last degrees of Pisces at the end of the astrological year, and the first 10 degrees of Aries, the beginning of the astrological year, each are assigned Mars for reasons I could come up with reasons, but anyway, I didn't design it. The Chaldeans did. That's the only aberration in that series. So you can see how each of the small cards gets themselves a planetary attribute because of that. And because there are 3 small cards representing 10 degrees of a sign of the zodiac, that's where they get their zodiacal attribute. And because they're wands, cups, swords, or discs, they get an attribute of fire, water, air, or earth. Okay, so that's what I'm talking about there. So, but I digress. Okay. And maybe I could hold that up if you can see it good enough. Disks are the material world, ASEA, the environment of consciousness that manifests as matter, and the material objects, like our example, a chair. In more religious-sounding terms, this is the body of God, manifest creation itself. Okay, going up to Yetzirah there. Swords are the world of the intellect, Yetzirah, the environment of consciousness wherein dwells mental images and patterns, the idea of a chair, or the blueprint of a chair, if you will. In more religious terms, the mind of God. Cups are the creative world, Braya, the environment of consciousness that creates profound and universal concepts like our need to get off our feet now and then. In more religious terms, the heart and soul of God. And finally, the world of wands is the highest Kabbalistic world. Wands are the archetypal world, Adzaleth, the highest, most universal level of consciousness, an environment that gets to the root of what chairs are all about. That is the pure concept of rest. In more religious terms, the will of God. So wands would be the will of God, the pure concept of rest. In Braya, the heart of God, the environment, just the general need to get off our feet. Okay, rest is a real general term. There, you could, universes could rest, like Hindus call pralaya, where the entire existence itself just takes a nap. That would be that. Okay. And this would be the, in more general terms, the need for people to get off their feet. Okay, this would be the idea of a chair or the blueprint one, and in Asiya, the chair actually manifests. So, concept of rest for Asiya, concept of people getting their rest. Concept of idea of individual chair, individual chairs themselves. Every aspect of existence and being has its proper place within this fourfold structure. If we want to get biblical sounding about all this, we could personify these ascending and descending divisions of energies, forces, and consciousness as celestial personages, such as seraphim, cherubim, archangels, angels, and finally us. As a matter of fact, that's just what Kabbalistic magicians do. But one needn't be a card-carrying magician to respect and appreciate the simplicity and elegance of this particular way of looking at things, and how clearly it's expressed in tarot. So if I may impose upon you to separate the small cards from all the others and assemble them into a ladder made up of 4 trees of life, just like that. And that's the image from the class. Okay, now let me... Okay. Take a good look. Oh, I can just do this and read right off the page here. Take a good look at your layout of the cards and notice how the 2s and 3s are almost... Oh, you got your cards laid out, so you got the title of your cards right there in front of you. Vithos Tarot has the title of the cards like that. Okay. Take a good look at your layout of cards and notice how the 2s and 3s are almost always sublimely cool. And the 5s, 8s, and 4s and 7s run the risk of being real clinkers because of their unbalanced position on their respective trees. Notice how the 6s are universally wonderful, and so are most of the 9s. Notice especially the 10s. All but the 10 of discs, wealth, are difficult cards. Now imagine, if you will, that the cards literally spring one to another in a tumbling cascade of descending light. That the Ace of Wands at the very top is the source of pure light of supreme consciousness. It is the ultimate reality behind all realities. As the pure light appears to descend the ladder of the Tree of Wands, it becomes more and more obscured, as if passing through optical filters. And the light frequency slows down, step by step, until we find the poor Ten of Wands, trodden down by the momentum of ever-dimming light. The Ten of Wands feels like its title, oppression. If it could, the Ten of Wands would stop the descent here and imprison the light before it abandons the world of wands. But the remaining light does escape the Ten of Wands and the world of wands, and finds a bright welcome in the world of cups. That's that next thing down. So everything doesn't stop there at that Ten of Wands. It drips down into the world of cups. See how 10 of a higher world connects with a 1 of a world beneath it. Okay. But the remaining light does escape the Ten of Wands and the world of wands and finds bright welcome in the world of cups. A world that thrives joyously upon receiving the light as much as the world of wands delighted in projecting it. By the time the light is filtered down to the Ten of Cups, and the world of cups is gloriously full, and in its bloated satiety, okay, that Ten of Cups is called satiety, spills the remaining light on the head of the Ace of Swords. Can you see that? How dull the pure light becomes by the time it passes through the gate of the world of swords. So much so that each level of the suit, the individual cards attempt to capture and shunt the light into conduits of energy and mold it into shapes, patterns, and ideas, as if the illimitable light could be analyzed, defined, and trapped in form. The death throes of the Ten of Swords is even more tragic than that of the Ten of Wands. But at least the light has somewhere to go. Okay, your Ten of Swords is just, and in the Thoth Tarot, it's almost nauseating in its color. It's really, you're not happy to see the Ten of Swords in a reading. Okay. But the light still has somewhere to go. From the Ten of Swords, it drips down into the Ace of Discs there. Okay. The light slows and crystallizes in the suit of discs, E equals mc squared, and becomes the darkness of matter. Of course, it looks to all of us whose consciousness is rooted in this world to be the light of creation itself. The tapestry of earthly life plays out on the tree of earth, or the tree of discs, or Asiya, the material world. The He, the final He in Yod He Vav He. Of course, it looks to all of us whose consciousness is rooted in this world to be the light of creation itself, I repeat. The tapestry of earthly life plays out in the tree of earth until the climax of the descent into matter reaches the nadir of the ladder of creation, the Ten of Discs. And here is the Thoth Tarot's Ten of Discs. See how bloated and swelled up that Malkuth is? Because that's the bottom of that whole cycle. The sediment of the three worlds above it and the sediment of its own world of earth, of disks, is laying on the ocean floor, if you will, of the Ten of Discs. That Ten of Discs is where the buck stops. It's the lowest of the low. But think about what it has in it. It has little bits of the sediment of everything from the highest high to the lowest low. It's all wrapped up in shit, but it's there. And when the alchemists say, separate the gross earth from the spiritus earth, that's the shit that they're working with. And by alchemy, they separate the high stuff from the shit. And they do it by a gentle heat. And that gentle heat is the force, the energy, if you will, of love. But maybe DuQuette will actually say that. The miracle of the Ten of Discs. The Ten of Discs is the bottom of the small card barrel. There is nowhere for the dark, broken dregs of the pristine light to go from there. No lower number than 10. No suit lower than Earth. It's the last daisy in the universal daisy chain. And I like it in my book to cosmic constipation. A vulgar but very accurate description of its predicament. But is it an unhappy card? Just look at it. The Tree of Life is made of coins. And the last coin, Malkuth, number 10, is the biggest, fattest coin of all. The Ten of Discs is happy because it's the lowest of the low. It's the climax of the descent into matter. The 10 holds the secret of redintegration by spirit, the secret of returning the universe to our former estate, or the universe and ourselves to our former estate. Back in an earlier lesson, when discussing the Hermit card, I quoted Crowley. Virgo represents the lowest, most receptive, most feminine form of Earth, and forms the crust over Hades. Yet, not only is Virgo ruled by Mercury, but Mercury is exalted therein. He goes on, compare the Ten of Discs, the general doctrine of the climax of the descent into matter is the signal for the redintegration by spirit. It is the formula of the princess. The princess is the earth aspect of the suit. It is the formula of the princess, the mode of fulfillment of the great work. I then asked you to write those last two sentences in your notebook. That's the very first thing I asked him to do at the beginning of the class. Along with this quote from DuQuette. Mercury, Earth, and the Sun are the three cosmic players responsible for creating the mode of fulfillment of the great work. These 3 sentences describe nothing less than the secret inner processes of creation. Not only the creation of human life, but the creation of consciousness and being. They come together in the last and lowest card of the tarot, the 10 of Discs. The card Crowley calls the hieroglyph of the cycle of regeneration. Mercury and Earth. Hermes penetrating the crust over heaven to rescue Persephone, the daughter of Demeter, to regenerate life on Earth with the yearly return of the sun. 10 of Discs equals Mercury in Virgo. This card is loaded with Mercury. 10 of Discs, Mercury in Virgo, the lowest and most receptive, most feminine form of Earth. It's no coincidence that the allotment of planets to the small cards starts at 0 degrees Leo with the 5 of Wands. How else would the last of the small cards, the 10 of Discs, be allotted to the divine Mercury in its last decade of Virgo? As I pointed out in the book, the true secret fertilizing ingredient in this most special small card recipes, the ingredient that is not apparent to the uninitiated, is the sun. Now look at this. Every one of the coin Sephiroth has at least what Harris considered a Mercury symbol. Alchemical Mercury, astrological Mercury, Mercury, Hebrew letter Bet, which is stands for Mercury, the Hebrew letter Pa, the Enochian letter Pa, which Harris associated along with B as Mercury. Raphael, Mercurial Archangel, little Tetrix, which is Mercurial. The Caduceus, made up of the 3 mother letters of the Hebrew alphabet, the Caduceus of Mercury. But here in number 8, right there, number 8 is a sphere of Mercury, but it's not Mercury. It's a hexagram of the sun. In this petri dish of Mercury is inoculated, if you will, with the sun in its native Sephiroth. Mercury, Virgo, Earth, Sun. Let's see, what's the quote again? Mercury, Earth, and the Sun are the 3 cosmic players responsible for creating the mode of fulfillment of the great work. Compare the 10 of Discs, the general doctrine that the climax of the descent into matter is the signal redintegration by spirit. It is the formula of the princess, the mode of fulfillment of the great work. The key to jumping back again to the very top of our Tree of Life ladder is in the 10 of Discs. This is how Malkuth and Kether are connected. Let's see. In my book, I tell the story of how the Ten of Discs literally jump-starts the cycle of regeneration. In other words, how the Ten of Discs creates from itself the Ace of Wands and starts the process of creation all over again. Please carefully review that material. Mercury and Earth. Hermes penetrating the crust over Hades to rescue Persephone, the daughter Demeter, to regenerate life on Earth with the yearly return of the sun. Ten of Discs equals Mercury in Virgo, the lowest, most receptive, most feminine form of Earth. It is no coincidence that the allotment of planets to the small card starts at 0 degrees Aries with the Five of Wands. How else would the last of the small cards, the Ten of Discs, be allotted to divine Mercury in its last decan of Virgo? And as I point out in the book, the true secret fertilizing ingredient in this most special of small card recipes, the ingredient that is not apparent to the uninitiated, is the sun. The sun carried as the lamp of Virgo's hermit. The hermit's hand equals Yod equals sperm. In the Ten of Discs, the Earth in its lowest, most receptive, most feminine form is screwed by Hermes Mercury, whose wand is the conduit, the hollow tube carrying the fire of the sun. The caduceus, carrying the fire of the sun. Mercury may penetrate, but the sun fertilizes, and life begins anew. The story is there for those with eyes to see in the painted cardstock of the Thoth Tarot. And that's the Monday morning lecture direct from the past in my class at Maybe Logic Academy. Until tomorrow, where hopefully there will be a routine Parking Lot Tuesday. Continue to be good to yourself and be good to each other. Do what thou wilt shall be the whole of the law. Love is the law. Love under will.